me clear my throat. I am the legendary DJ KOOL, and right now you're listening to John the Ninja.
All right, let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? I didn't even do my clap. That's how excited I am. Let me do it. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? It's John the Ninja live in the dojo, aka the dojo. And you know this is the John the Ninja Studios. And the gentleman I have here, listen, I'm telling you guys, you might not believe that my God is your God, or your God might be my God, or whatever God you think. But we are on the same pace that whoever I answer to has been doing me solids. And he's been doing solids for this gentleman. Let me say this real quick. But the fact that we have our roots in DC is phenomenal. Our ties to wrestling is canonical. This man's influence on hip-hop is undeniable. We both are Army brats. So that rap, let's put that out there. And God put us on the right track. Ladies and gentlemen, if you were at a party in the 90s, you knew this man's song. And his most famous line actually came from an accident. Shout out to the Beastie Boys and Paul Revere, and also choking on your water while you're trying to talk. But it's not just that one particular song that he's known for. If you go to anybody in the hip-hop community, this man is revered for his skills in bringing hip-hop, bringing the go-go style to DC. You ask him, you name him, he has worked with the best, with the Stevie Wonders, with Reggie Redman, calling out Jersey where we're at right now, and then so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, rest in peace to Biz Markie, Dougie Fresh, and all these other hip-hop pioneers. And also his main man, Chuck Brown, who influenced him to also do what he does best. But this person is in the Hip-Hop Hall of Fame. This man is certified platinum, and his legacy is he wants to see everybody win and prosper, and to know that he gave all he had. His hip-hop influences start from DJ MANIAC McCloud when he first saw him, to Grandmaster Flash Melly Mel, and back to the go-go with Chuck Brown, Dougie Fresh, Biz Markie, Redman. We mentioned all of them, but the one person we didn't mention that we have to is, oh yeah, Macho Man Randy Savage. But taking it back to the call and responses that the church had, he started DJing in 78, and again, I can't tell you how influential his work has been, including 20-Minute Workout, I Got a Feeling, and most importantly, Let Me Clear My Throat. The DC and Philly roots with this gentleman is strong. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to present to you DJ KOOL. Sir, how are you?
I'm fine. As a matter of fact, I actually started DJing in 1977 with a mobile DJ company called the Sound Service. So shout out to Ashton Greaves for him giving me my start as far as that part of my career is concerned.
And you know what? You did mention, I'm sorry I messed up the date, but you did mention you were doing such a grind when you first started. I think it was like 7 days a week, in and out. When was it that you finally got that feeling like, hey, you know what? I'm actually really good at this. I need to strike it out on my own, or you actually started branching out from that work? What was happening during that time?
First and foremost, I like to tell people that from the beginning, or I guess to use a hip hop phrase, from the gate, this was never, ever a hobby for me. I always wanted to make it my life, always had a plan, and my plan was to use DJing to be as a stepping stone to becoming an artist. And that's exactly what I was able to do, just through basically just getting focused on something and sticking to it and believing in myself, and and taking God's instructions.
So let's pull it back. Let's pull it back a little bit, because there's a whole story about growing up in DC that set the path for you seeing your first DJ set and actually getting into hip hop. So you grew up in DC, Army brat, and back in the day you were the flashy one, you were theatrical, so they called you Cool. So that's how you got that nickname. But, being that I was born in D.C., my dad was born in D.C., we have strong family roots in D.C., and we mentioned that on the phone a while ago. Could you elaborate your childhood growing up? It seemed like it was the old school, like if you messed up, you're going to get tattletale by the parents, and mom and dad going to beat you when you get home. But could you elaborate like how you felt as a child and what you drew from that experience that later down the line would end up influencing your music? And all the music that you ended up loving too, like the George Clintons and etc.
Just coming from a household, two-parent household, that was filled with music all the time. You know what I mean? So a lot of the artists that I grew up listening to because of my father was people like Otis Redding, Brooke Benton, James Brown, Sam Cooke. My mother was more a gospel person, so she was big on Mahalia Jackson, and I guess all the big gospel artists from that particular time period. So I grew up in a very um, musical household. But on the other side, I was deeply into sports. I was a full sport athlete coming up. I played baseball, basketball, football, and ran track. So I'm very used to playing under the whistle. As a matter of fact, the cool moniker or the cool, nickname or what have you actually came from sports. It came out of basketball, to make a long story short. So yeah.
Yeah, hold on. I gotta remember their names. Your boys that helped get you the name. I want to start. I want to say Jody and Bugzo. Is it Bugzo?
But yeah, I don't know if them cats are still here with us, but yeah, that was way back. I was playing. Um, what was the name of the team I was playing for? We were in the CYO League, which was the Catholic Youth Organization League, and I think I was playing for the Immaculate Conception at the time, but I also played for St. Peter's, and we played teams like St. Anthony's and a few other teams that were part of the CYO Basketball League.
So
Didn't get a chance to play high school basketball. I went to Eastern High School. I was, I guess you could say, I was on the practice squad, and the reason why is because, excuse me, I feel like I was good enough to make the varsity because I practiced with them all the time. But my situation was a little bit different in the fact that I didn't know that for the position that I played, which was the 1 and 2 for you basketball people out there, which is the point guard and shooting guard positions, you had to play summer league basketball to try out for those positions. So they already had their guard positions locked by the time I went out for the team, which was during the school year. When you go out during the school year, at least at Eastern High School at that particular time in the 70s, they were just trying out for the 3s, 4s, and 5s, which would be small forward, power forward, and centers. Um, what they were trying to do was work me into the system. So they wanted me to, and this was my sophomore year, I was 10th grade year. They wanted me to play varsity baseball, which I really had no problem doing, but I was so fixated on playing varsity basketball. They was like, look, we're going to get you in the system. So we want you to play varsity baseball first, and you're going to play JV basketball. Well, out of that particular sentence, that's all I heard was, we want you to play JV basketball. And I was like, no, 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 no. I know I'm good enough to play with the varsity because I'm playing with them every day. So to make a long story short, I did not follow the system, and I did not have, I don't know, for lack of a better term, a mentor to kind of guide me, the right way. Like, the only person that I had talking to me about this particular process was coach. Maybe had I had somebody that would have pulled me to the side and say, look, man, this is what you need to do. Just listen to what the coach is telling you. He's trying to work you into the system. I'm 15 years old, man. I'm not hearing none of that. I'm like, look, I'm good enough to play varsity. You cats is playing the varsity, I'm good enough to play varsity. And so didn't get a chance to play varsity basketball for Eastern High School. But rest in peace to a couple of the cats that I did get a chance to play with on a daily basis, which was James Ratcliffe. He was our starting center, probably like 6'9", 6'10". He wound up playing for Howard University. Once upon a time, he was averaging roughly about 40 points a game. This dude could flat out do it. Also, rest in peace to our starting point guard, Rodney Wright, who actually got to do a little bit of work in the pros, not as a player, but as a coach, like as an assistant coach. He was working with a bunch of different teams. Shout out to Adrian Dantley. I've seen him work with Adrian Dantley one time in Denver. So, yep. But I feel like I was good enough to make the varsity in 10th grade, and I should have just listened and just followed the protocol, so to speak.
Just thinking of like literally looking at your Instagram recently, and you're hanging out with the stars of the stars. Like, AI has been eluding me. Kevin Durant has been in the same room as me, but me being in the stands and him on the court ain't the same thing. Here you are taking pictures with these icons, and it just brings me back to the statement you said. Somebody asked you, how's it feel to be a legend? How's it feel to be this and that? And you said that God has allowed me to be the vessel for this success. and all the things I feel like he's giving it back to you through the other outlets that you get to enjoy. You know, being the basketball fan you are, here you are with these legends that are, you know, paying homage to you. You know, every time, you know, you get a text message from one of your boys, it's like, hey man, I hear you at the All-Star game, I hear you during the Super Bowl. You know, that's, to me, that's a validation of God saying, like, you did what I wanted you to do, so I'm gonna pay you back. You know, when I think of, you know, how very vocal you are, how God has protected you, you know, it's it's a little different for different Christians to say this is God talking to me. Some people get it in their minds like, oh, I just had a dream. Other people, like, they have a feeling. Other times they literally hear a voice. You know, I was curious, being that you are older now and you have an understanding of life and how you're supposed to exist. How did you feel God was talking to you? Not so much guiding you. We'll get there in a moment for your career, but now, like, how do you know, like, God is talking to me specifically versus, you know, I'm just thinking this, or I just want to do this? How do you know it's an actual calling now, like music was that calling?
Just growing up in a Christian based household and just listening to, I guess, the instructions of my parents, my mother in particular, because, you know, she always had her head in the Bible. And me, I can't quote you any Bible verses per se. I just believe in the scripture. You know what I mean? I believe in the doctrine. As a matter of fact, I can even go deeper than that. Like I guess I'm a very spiritual. I have a very heavy spiritual background. Like once upon a time, uh, I wanted to be a FOI because I'm all into the words of Minister Farrakhan and whatnot, and I'm all into the doctrine. I even, you know, was getting into a lot of the stuff that the brothers was teaching from the 5% Nation and whatnot. So at the end of the day, to me, spirituality is everything. Uh, I do happen to know there is a God. I feel that because of our different cultures and whatnot that we're a part of, a lot of people would look at that particular entity in different ways. But at the end of the day, we all gonna meet in that one place anyway. You know what I mean? So that's just how I am as far as being spiritual is concerned. I'm big on that, and I believe in it. A lot of people say, "Well, I don't know if it's a God," and I tell people, man, if you don't believe that there's a God, go look in the mirror. All right? The human being is the most complex being on the face of the earth. There's no man that can make another human being. I'm talking about like physically make it the way that you would probably make, I don't know, whatever type of structure that you would probably fathom in your head and then actually reproduce it. Man cannot do that. It's not possible. You can make a robot using artificial intelligence or AI as they call it nowadays, but I'm talking about real flesh and blood. Nah, it's not gonna happen. We don't have that capability. Only the creator, whatever you perceive that entity to be.
We feeling this out. We're gonna go back and forth, but you already know how Paul in the Bible is like, you know, you can look at nature and then you know it's a God. For me personally, I say the experience of God is through the moments I have, the moments that you cherish with friends, family, or something that meant something to you. That's a huge pull, because I ain't gonna lie to you, DJ K. I may have done some things I should not have gotten away with that were perfectly legal, but could have got me in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So it's it's one of those things, you know, God has your hand on, you know, he has his hand on your back. I really wanted to strike home the first time you saw DJ MANIAC McCloud in the club. And that was the trigger inspiration. You were already into music, man. You wanted to play piano with the boys in Parliament. You wanted to be out there. But there's that instrument that speaks to you. For me, it was the guitar. I play a bunch of instruments, but when I first saw AC/DC playing guitar, when I first got my hands on that Black Sabbath record, to my mother's dismay, because we love all music, shout out to Rick James. It really changed my view and feel of having a voice, having an ability to communicate my energy. And then I think of all the greats I've listened to, Carlos Santana, the Princes, all these fabulous guitarists. Even Clapton, you know, they can speak so fluently through this instrument. And when I play, no matter what instrument, I could be killing it on drums, I could be killing it on bass. Hell, I might pretend to sing. There's nothing that touches me more performing than playing guitar. So could you walk me through your thoughts of seeing DJ Maniac McCloud throwing it down, and then that feeling when you finally got your hands on a turntable and what that was like starting to experiment and learn?
Well, first of all, we're talking about the mid '70s, and I guess I'm a young guy at the time. I'm in my early 20s, and I'm trying to find my way. You know what I mean? As far as what I actually want to do. First and foremost, just like I said, it was sports. But I guess God had another plan. You know what I mean? So me seeing Maniac McCloud, rest in peace to a buddy of mine uh, that I actually grew up with, who transitioned very early in our lives. His name was Charlie Lucas. He was the first one that took me to this particular club where I seen Maniac McCloud perform at, which was a place called The Room. It was on 12th and New York Avenue Northwest. And it's kind of funny because years later, I wound up becoming a DJ at that same club for 4 years of my career, early on in my career. But I seen him, and to me, I'm like, all right, this is my first time seeing it, which was, the crazy thing is, he was my first DJ that I actually saw, period. Now, this guy just had total control of the room now that I think back. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what I was looking at the time. The only thing I know is this dude was making me dance until my knees hurt. It was crazy, but now that I look back on seeing him initially, and knowing what I know now about what a DJ is or what a DJ is supposed to be and supposed to do, and, you know, things of that nature, this dude just had total control of the room. Flawless mixes. Like, he could sit up there and play like 20 records, just blend them seamlessly, and you think it's just one record just playing on and on and on. He's probably played about 20, 25 songs, you know what I mean, before you know anything. Had total control of the mic, like he was an entertainer up there, going back and forth with the crowd, calling response, saying little rhymes, you know, roasting people in the crowd, making people laugh. Just crazy. I mean, by the time this guy finished with you, the only thing you want to do is just go home and go to sleep. Like, he would kill a party. And that's pretty much, that's where I got my style from. So I guess I would be considered Maniac McCloud 2.0. You know what I mean? Because I use the same tools that I learned from him, but just try to do whatever I can to put my particular spin on it and take it to another level.
Could you elaborate on how he took you under your wing? I think I said that right. How he took you under his wing.
Well, yes and no. He didn't sit down and say, all right, cool, you do it like this and you do it like that. I was always the fly on the wall. I would come in, I got a chance to get to know him, and we would conversate, but we never talked about DJing. He never set me down and say, all right, man, you do this first, and after that you do this, and so on and so forth. I used to watch him. I would watch. I was Kobe the way that he was watching MJ, or maybe MJ, you know, Michael Jordan, or maybe the way Jordan was watching Dr. J or something like that, to use those sports analogies or what have you. It was the same thing with me and Maniac McCloud. I would come in and watch him. I would listen to the mixes that he would do. I would basically say, okay, he played this after this, and then after this he played this. I would go to there was a record store, popular record store back in the I guess in the at this time, well, I would say in the 70s, it was Douglas Records. No, was Douglas out back then? I think Douglas came along in the 80s. But anyway, there were other record stores. We would go, all right, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to buy 2 copies of this, 2 copies of this, because this is what he had. And I would emulate, or I would copy all those mixes. And then I said, all right, I got that. Now I need to put my little DJ KOOL salt and pepper on it, and came up with my own mixes. And so I just studied him, basically. That's what I did. I studied it.
So let's go on to DJ Flex, because he's mentioned you numerous times, and he said, like, you know, when I first got into it, he really gave me my shot. And you let him have that night, and of course it didn't go well. He wasn't the only one that went up there. But those are moments that, you know, stick with somebody. You know, even to have that opportunity. You know, he basically walked into your booth and said, let me go on," and you be like. Most dudes be like, "Get out! What the heck is wrong with you?" But you actually, you were very kind about it. You know, could you tell me your first thoughts about that, and what was it about him that you did go, "You know what? Let me take him under my wing and give him more help than I received. Let me actually show him to do." It was the military way of doing it. You know, if they ain't done right, you gotta do it over again, and then, you know, we can continue. But just to give him that time of day and actually help him, what was it about him, or was it just something you told yourself, like, if anybody ever comes to me for help, I'm gonna give him that opportunity?
Well, my thing with him was the fact that he had balls enough to just come up in the DJ booth and say, "Yo, I'm trying to be a DJ. I want, I want to get put on, so looking at this cat, I'm like, might have something here. You never know. You know what I mean? You never know when the next one is going to come about. So I said, let me give him a shot. And so no, he probably didn't do his best that particular time because he was still new in the game. But I said, if he had balls enough to come up to me and approach me like that, especially at the level that I was in the game at that particular time, then I mean he's worth looking into. You know what I mean? Because you don't know who this guy's going to become. And to make a long story short, I'm glad that I gave him the opportunity. I'm very, very proud of who he has become. Him and a lot of other guys. Frank Ski's another one. DJ Dirty Rico is another one, and I guess the list goes on and on for guys that I was able to, give a hand to or just be an influence to the way that Maniac McCloud influenced me. That was just my way of giving back.
77, you were grinding, you got the job, and I vaguely remember the pain and heartache I had when I was first starting out and having a little bit of success in my field, but then being told, no, you can't have it. I was trying to get an opportunity at the radio station. I was doing everything they tell you, keep your foot in the door, always be there. And it was a slow burn that eventually burned out, but I had success after the fact. But I just remember there would be times I would be in the booth practicing or editing, and I remember one time I freaked out. I even screamed. I was like, "What the heck? Like, what's wrong with it?" I just remember the feeling of defeat, but still, like, that Ecclesiastes idea. It's all meaningless, but keep trying anyway. You know what I mean? Why am I here? Before you actually got your hit on the Billboard charts in '86, was there a time you felt that DJing, or were you still complacent and happy just to be able to perform? Because a lot of people don't know that drug of being an entertainer and being able to, at least, even if you get one person to feel that music, there's an energy that just, it makes you want to do it again.
I always had a plan. From the beginning, I'm going to start out as a DJ. I'm going to use this as the stepping stone to becoming an artist. And I just stuck with the plan. That's all it was. There's nothing special. It's nothing special about it. I just had a plan and I stuck with it. That's all. And first and foremost, I believed in myself.
So let's hop on to the music ain't loud enough. All right, so that's where we gotta go. The first time you get a big response, you get that validation. That's a nice drug. And some people, they can want to top it again. Like, that could be their only driving force in their career. Or others are just like, okay, I'm just going to keep on doing what I'm doing, like you have done for so long. So could you walk us back to what that feeling was for you when you actually made the Billboard charts, how you found out, and what your moves were up to the next big hit? How did you try and better it?
I got to do it again. And I feel like I can do it again. See, what I tell people is this, excuse me, what a lot of people don't understand as far as producers in hip hop is concerned, all your greatest producers, 99% of your greatest hip hop producers started out as DJs. Think about it. You know what I mean? I could start naming cats and you'd be like, wow, yep, you're right. All of these cats started out as DJs. So first and foremost, they know exactly how to put music together to move a dance floor or to motivate people in some way or another because this is what they do on a nightly basis. You know what I mean? So that was the same thing for me. After I actually learned music production and how to actually structure a song and all types of music theory stuff that you need to actually become a producer, it wasn't a problem. So I could just put together hot stuff. Like I'm a DJ first and foremost. At my core, I'm a DJ that learned production.
I think of Randy Savage when you talk about the ability to get people to move. I'm a big wrestling fan too. You know, old school, new school, even now. I don't know if you watch it. But there's this ability wrestlers have to be able to tell a story and get people into the match. Not singing, not sometimes talking, but it's the actual performance. And I was curious when you were Randy Savage because you guys were chopping up. He was a baseball player too. I think he was minor leagues. And of course you have that in common. You both love hip hop. You know, did you have that conversation of how you guys are able to get the crowd in and be invested? Did you guys ever have a conversation like that? Like, hey, cool, you know, man, it's pretty cool how you get them to dance. How do you know, did he ever ask you or vice versa? Like, hey, you know, I seen you guys wrestle and I was curious, what is this wrestling psychology? How do you know when people are dead and you got to draw them in? Because the way you talk about it as a DJ and the way you perform on the mic is just like a wrestler would, except you have the benefit of music as well, which gives you a higher, you know, it heightens up the options.
We never had that conversation, believe it or not. Like, I'm gonna tell you what conversation we did have a bunch of times, well, a couple of times. The fact that he wasn't a big Hulk Hogan fan, like for real, and we're not going to get into, you know, all the details and whatnot, but Hulk Hogan wasn't one of his favorite people for a long time. Okay, and there's the reasons behind that. Rest in peace. But I think before he actually transitioned, they did actually get a chance to patch things up and kind of come to a mutual understanding on things. But there was a lot of disrespect, like real disrespect, not scripted disrespect going on between these cats. There was some real disrespect going on with them early on. You know what I mean? But other than that, man, like he was just a cool dude. Like, and like the way that he sounds like when he's in character. This was his natural speaking voice. So he spoke like this all the time. You know, like good dude, man. Shout out to my man Khalid from KO Productions. He's a native Washingtonian, but he's residing in Tampa, Florida now, and that's how me and Macho Man got together because of Khalid giving me a call. Yo, cool. You know, I got this record. I want you to jump on with Randy Macho Man Savage. I'm like, hey, get out of here. What are you talking about? He said, no, for real, for real. Put him on the phone. Yo, DJ KOOL, such. I'm like, what? For real. And he's my favorite of all time. I'm into like 80s wrestling, you know what I mean? And the Macho Man was always my guy. So it was incredible for me to get a chance to meet him, spend time with him, work with him. Great guy, man. Rest in peace to the Macho Man. Ooh, yeah.
You got it down, man. But I've been very fortunate to have been able to converse with wrestlers. There's wrestlers in WWE now that I met when they were training, and you know that is a different culture. It's like the basket. Well, I take that back. Basketball can be mean when you grilling people on the court, but you know that friendly environment where you get together. Like, hey, we're all DJs. We know what we're talking about. Wrestling's like that. It's a very tight knit community. I want to know when your ties to Philadelphia actually happened, because you know I'm in the Philly area. Philly's my second home. DC, New Jersey, Philly, and the importance of Philadelphia, not just in music but especially in hip hop, bringing it to the masses nationally. You know, we're gonna get to the record, but how influential that particular location is in your career as well. Could you explain to me how you got in good with Power 99, who's also almost, I want to say almost 50 years maybe at this point, still same hip hop, same call sign. So how did you end up coming to Philadelphia before we get to the big record?
That would be my management, Walt Reeder Jr., who actually started out as my booking agent. Well, really, his father, Walt Reeder Sr., was my actual booking agent and management or acting manager in the beginning when we first got together. And then to make a long story short, Walt Jr., who is my current manager, was like, Pops, no, I need to take DJ KOOL because I'm a little bit younger. I'm a little bit more in tune with hip hop. And basically, I know a little bit more what to do with DJ KOOL than you do. And so that's pretty much how my connection, one of the ways that my connection got started with the city of Philadelphia. I had a record in 1994 called 20-Minute Workout that has a snippet of what how can I say, a snippet of the concept of what Let Me Clear My Throat became at the end of the 20-Minute Workout record. To make a long story short, I got a call from a popular air personality at the time that was working for Power 99 named Don Mistic Mac. And he was like, "KOOL, you need to come up here, man, because you got these people in Philly going off on this go-go thing." He talking about the 20-Minute Workout record. But he said, whatever you doing over that 900 number, man, these people are going nuts. You need to come up here and check that out. So they had a big radio, Power 99 had their Powerhouse show, which is one of these big radio shows that, you know, that these stations have every year. I came. Shout out to DJ Rand. He was the DJ that was playing for the intermission of the show. And he dropped the Let Me Clear My Throat concept. Place went crazy. The little light bulb just kind of came on over my head. And I was like, all right, we got to turn that concept into a song. My manager, Walt Jr., was like, "KOOL, I got a show for you that I got booked for you up here in Philly at Bahama Bay." My idea was, hey, we're going to do this Clear My Throat thing live at Bahama Bay, and ain't nobody going to know about it. We just going to record without even saying anything. And for the most part, well, that's exactly what happened. I had a live recording engineer there, and I gave him the cue to press record play. Hey, yo, 20, hit me with the horns, man, which was my DJ at the time, DJ 20, the number 20. And we recorded the show straight through. And I guess the rest is history. 96.
And 2 months later went gold. I think my favorite part of that whole album, I got a story for you after this, is the part where I'm not from Philly, but I don't give a fuck about that. It's where you at. Let's go. Let me with the horns. And then you go into it. That always resonated with me as a child. I don't know why, but I specifically remember when I was a kid, and mind you, this is the 2000s, maybe 2003, 2004. This is before the internet is so accessible. This is before it's easy to find. If you didn't know who it was, you had to look. And we were, right. Me and my mother would drive from Taekwondo practice to school practice, all these practices, and we would hear your song on the radio. And we were trying to figure it out. And my mother's not the hip-hop head. You mention any 80s pop, any R&B singer, my mother knows them. She's not a hip-hop girl. So she's like, all she knows is Public Enemy. It's like, it might be Public. I don't know. So we go into FYE. We asked this one dude. He's like, oh, I know this was in my high school, man. That's DJ KOOL. Found the album, which right there before it changed. And it opened up the door for like, okay, so a DJ can take the stage. That was the first time I knew a DJ actually speaking and actually putting in the work and getting the crowd into it. So, you know, it always struck me. So this is a personal question for me and my friends growing up. There's a line when you're doing the call and response part and you say, ladies, you got real hair, you got real fingernails, you got a job, you go to school, we got that. But the second line, we can never interpret what you were asking the guys. You don't care what those ladies, you just trying to get, and reading the lyrics that says you trying to get chummy, that makes sense. But I don't know what you're saying. I was like, yours, man, or something. So what was that, sir?
Saying it different ways, but it's actually get your man. That is DC slang. It goes back as probably far as the 80s, trying to get your man. I used to hear, when did I first hear that phrase? It was probably on a cartoon that was out in the 70s called Dudley Do Right. he was a Canadian Mountie, and he was always talking about getting his man, meaning whoever he was going after. And he finally arrested the person. He got his man, the person he was going after. Well, in DC, they kind of flipped that concept a little bit back in the 80s. And let's just say, played a basketball game last night and you scored 50 points. Man, such and such boy, he got his man last night. He got 50 points. So we were using it as a term of accomplishment, that particular phrase. A lot of people were interpreting that in all kinds of crazy ways that didn't have anything to do with what it actually meant. And that's because they're not from DC and they didn't grow up in DC in the 80s and they never heard that term before. So I can understand somebody getting that misconstrued or just completely not understand what I'm talking about. But that's old school DC slang, getting your man. Whatever it is, it's a term of accomplishment on whatever you've accomplished.
Well, now we know. That's a mystery. Finally, I know. Not to stray away from it because it's so monumental. I do love that song, but the song I think that hit me more musically was "I Got That Feeling." I got a feeling, and I was curious where that sample came from and the workings of that particular tune.
I Got That Feeling was basically a hook, or rather a chant that the group Red Essence used to use, like in the go-go, and they said it like this: I got that feeling, that funky feeling. R.E., meaning Red Essence. R.E. is in the house, so we ready to roll. So I said, I like that. I'm gonna make a record using that chant, and I'm gonna scratch out R.E. and I'm gonna put my name in there, and there you go. So that was the hook. The track I built, I used the same track that I used for the song 20-Minute Workout, which is I'm Getting Ready by Dougie Fresh, which was produced by Red Essence. I used the same track over again, but this time I put the intro from the song Uptown Anthem. I took that sample and put it on top of that beat and basically used what I like to call the Bomb Squad production method by taking one beat and using it over and over and over again, the way that they used to use Funky Drummer in a bunch of different types of ways on Public Enemy records. I just used the same school of thought and made a whole new record. So if you listen to the song 20-Minute Workout, which is the one that I say, is DC in the house? Right? The same track. It's the instrumental from Dougie Fresh, I'm Getting Ready, and I use the exact same track over again to make the song I Got That Feeling. I just put a different sample over top of it. And that is the Bomb Squad production, production method. Shout out to Hank and Keith Shockley, who are my favorite hip-hop producing duos of all time.
It's mind-boggling to see the success finally coming back to you, because we are aware of the issues with the record label. You had Gold, they shelved you, and for a long time you were stuck in that contract. And that's, a lot of artists have run into that situation where the contract or whatever happened, where they had something that was phenomenal and then they couldn't push. For me, looking now, that I'm not even sure. I heard double platinum. I know it's platinum for certain, but I don't know if it's CD platinum or if it's digital platinum. If you could elaborate on that.
Sorry, I have no idea at this particular time. The only thing is, right now, I do know it's certified platinum. I know if you let a lot of people tell me, man, that joint double, triple platinum, he might be damn near diamond. People say, you know what I mean? Because it has been, well, we went gold in 96. I got set on the shelf in 97. I was on the shelf from 97 to 2003 is when I finally got out of that situation with American and Warner Brothers. I have no idea how many how many times platinum we have gone by now. And once again, I don't know if it's physical sales platinum. I don't know if it's streaming or digital platinum. It may be. I'm thinking in my head it's a combination of both. Just going on the conversation that I had with the RIAA last year when I told them about my situation, and they were like, "Well, believe it or not, you have a huge record, and it's probably a lot bigger now than it was when it was out currently because of streaming and stuff like that." And to make a long story short, they told me that they were going to do an investigation and they would get back to me. And last month I finally found out through a friend of mine, believe it or not, that I was actually platinum, that we were certified platinum. I don't know, one time, two times, three times. I've seen one disc up there, so maybe just one time platinum right now.
What type of validation did you feel with that phone call, especially from your friend? Because I've gotten to a point, and this is a little bit more personal for me, where sometimes when I have a very huge win, when I get that interview, when I accomplish something, back to when I was struggling to get it, you feel so defeated getting there that you really can't enjoy the moment until it's like, you're a little past it. And it's like, oh, okay, you know what? I did it. Oh, hey, like 3-4 weeks later when you should have been cheesing with the guy you've been dying to meet. How did you feel? Do you feel God presented you with this blessing in time after for a certain reason? Or do you feel like, what would that be? What would that reason be for God delaying that success for now instead of back then?
Because I think he has something bigger for me than I could imagine coming, that I still don't know what's coming as of yet, because there's another part of it that my lawyer and my management are investigating right now that I'm not going to speak on. I'm just going to let them do their job. Maybe they'll come with another miraculous surprise once they finish their investigation. But I don't know, man. It's like I've been telling people that I feel that I'm glad that it happened now as opposed to happening when it was subsequently supposed to happen back in the 90s, because of the way things are nowadays. Like, if it would have happened back in the 90s, would it still be significant right now? Yes, because once you platinum, you platinum. You platinum for the rest of your life. The numbers just continue to go up. But because of what's going on nowadays with streaming, especially right now, if I can say that, because of this year being the 50th anniversary of hip hop, like all of this stuff that's going on right now, it makes it even bigger now than it would have been had it happened years ago. So I feel like God had a plan. He knew what I went through. You know what I mean? And he was like, you know what? In the words of Stevie Wonder, don't you worry about a thing. You know what I mean? I'm about to show you something that's gonna blow your mind. And that's where we at right now. I'm glad it's happening right now in the current, like, you know what I mean? People are acting, and it's such a blessing. People are acting like this record just came out all the way back over again, like somebody just hit the reset button. Like, all right, boys, we get ready to go again. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
The closest thing I could think of even being close to what you did is like me meeting Eminem. You were hand-picked by Stevie Wonder to collaborate on one of his projects, and it's one of those things where it's like, you know what, the music speaks for itself. Your work was so good that one of the greatest artists of all time, and no one will dispute that, said, I want to work with him.
So Stevie does a thing called the the Soul Music Festival, or some kind of big festival that he does every year in LA. And it has everything to do with his radio station. There's a big radio station event that he has. Yes, I was picked to be one of the performers, along with Sugar Bear from EU. Shout out to my man's name, Sugar Bear from EU, from Doing the Butt fame. and who was also a go-go pioneer, by the way. We were handpicked to perform, to be some of the artists that performed at that particular event, which normally has anywhere from 300,000 to, what is it, 300,000 to 400,000 people come to this thing every year. Like, it's people as far as you can see. They have 3 big stages. I got a chance to perform on what they call the Stevie Wonder stage, and got a chance to meet Stevie. That was actually my second time seeing him, but this is my first time really getting a chance to talk to him. And I introduced myself, and he said, let me clear my throat. I was like, what? I'm like, I said, I know you can't see me, but maybe you can see me and just ain't saying nothing. But the reason why he knew exactly what it was is because, yes, I was one of the artists that was handpicked by him to participate in that particular event. This past weekend, I was asked to go to LA to perform with Red Essence for Stevie Wonder's wife, who just happens to be from DC. She was having a birthday party. Matter of fact, she had it last Saturday, but they was talking to us about doing this Friday, and you just up and come to LA Saturday morning. And I'm like, whoa, what? What? You know what I'm saying? So that particular thing didn't happen. Then I got a call later on Saturday night. They were still trying to get me to come out there. I'm sorry, Friday night. Still trying to get me to come out there Saturday morning to perform with some other musicians to basically do the same thing. And I was like, first of all, I have some pressing issues that I need to take care of here at home. And had it not been for that, knowing me, I probably still wouldn't have went, because I had I spoke to White Boy, who is who I like to call the head coach of Red Essence. And I told him, I said, yeah, man, they just called me and asked me to come out there because, you know, I'm loyal to who I like to call the Red White Army, you know what I mean, which is Red Essence. And I said, I'm not going out there anyway, but I do have some other pressing issues here at home that I need to take care of. So I wasn't going out there anyway. And he was like, cool, man, you should have went. I was like, nah, I had some stuff to do here. So one way or the other, I was not going out there. Not that I didn't want to rock with Stevie and his wife. I mean, come on, son. We talking about Stevie, one of my favorite artists, period. You know what I mean? But it just didn't line up.
But you know, that's so validating for the work, as I was saying. You know, something that I found interesting, and I'm pulling a little Biggie hip hop influence from this one. He, you know, the 10 Crack Commandments, he has the rule, family and blood don't mix. But your advice was to always have a family member on the road with you to keep you grounded, to keep you, you know, in that headspace of like, hey, you know, I'm still a person, I'm still here. Could you tell me that dynamic and when you figured that out? For me, my biggest thing is, if I always tell my friends, if you come into money, disappear for a little bit. Don't tell us, don't mention it, you know, don't tell me. I'll be the biggest supporter of like, hell yeah. I'm not gonna ask them for any of it, but I've seen how quickly success for one person makes another person think they made it too, when that's not necessarily the case. And I've always been very vocal to my friends, like, hey, leave us behind, care for yourself first, that's the blessing from God, and then come back and be the blessing. When did you come up with like, no, I need a family member with me on tour, and how did they not try and get over on you? They didn't try and take advantage of your generosity of allowing them to travel and perform, or even just be backstage?
That first started around the Clear My Throat era. Shout out to my cousin Wayne in South Carolina. I just wanted to get him out of South Carolina, give him something to do. Me and him always been close. We grew up together. I'm probably about 4 years older than Wayne, but if you met us, you would think that he's 4 or 5 years older than me just because of the way he is. But he makes me laugh, and we've just always been close. So it started with him, and he ran with me for those years when the Clear My Throat record was going crazy. Then eventually, you know, he tailed off and he did some other things. Now, currently, my cousin, DJ East Coast, who is now my DJ, he does a little bit of everything. I trained him to do everything. He's my tour DJ. He's security. He's road management. He's everything. And once again, me and him, we just get along. We make each other laugh. Sometimes he make me sick because once again, I'm his older cousin, and I had to teach him the ropes. Like when you get out here, you know, he's DJed in clubs and stuff like that before, but he never been a tour DJ. He didn't know anything about that, so I took him on the road, and I'm still taking him on the road. You know what I mean? So once again, before he got with me, he was doing clubs. Now he's doing, you know, shows in NBA arenas. He did the whole New Edition tour with me last year. He was more so my road management last year for me when I did the whole New Edition tour. I had him out there. We did 30 dates, 4 days a week, every week for probably about 3 months or something like that. That joker got tired on me. He got fed up. Probably about 22 shows in. I say, look, let me tell you something. We got 8 more to go. You better suck it up and finish this daggone thing with me. And he did it. So I'm proud of him. I love him. And yeah, it's my cousin DJ East Coast. So my cousin Wayne was on my mother's side. My cousin East Coast was on my father's side.
I'm still reminiscing about the years when you were grinding and fighting and dealing with all that stress and animosity to get to where you're at now. You know, how did you find your place to relax? You know, when everything's so stressful, it's kind of hard to step back and take a deep breath. For me, it was concerts. That seemed like for maybe a good 3 years before I started professional wrestling training. That was the only thing that it was like, okay, I can have a sigh of relief. I can truly enjoy myself or step back out of my situation, you know, but that still wasn't healthy. You know, some people would say do yoga or pray, you know. How did you cope with the stress of, you know, hey, I have a hit single. I'm trying to get it out there. They won't let me. I'm trying to get out the contract. Was it as, you know, like Jesus bleeding blood from the sweat stressful, or was it more of like you were able to look at it in the big picture format?
The big picture, you know what I mean? Once again, I always believed in myself. And then I have my spiritual side that I could always count on. You know what I mean? Regardless of what's going on, who's doing it, or anything. So always had God first and foremost. Like I say my prayers every day before I, you know, do anything. The first thing that I do in the morning, I thank God for the day. And then I go into my prayer ritual. And then after that, it's whatever after that. Whatever happens, I know I'm going to be able to handle it because I feel like I'm covered, you know what I'm saying, spiritually. So that's pretty much it, man. And then on top of everything else, like I love what I do. Like I love, I guess using a sports analogy or whatever, I love the game. You know what I mean? I love being on the road. I love DJing. I love performing. I love all of it. I love production. I love everything. Like this is what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing. Period. Like this is what I feel like God got me here to be. You know, it's DJ KOOL.
You stated a while ago, like everything you do is for your daughter. I believe Miss Dominga. I don't want to mess that up either. But it's so hard to have a family in this type of life where traveling can be so stressful, not only on you, but when you come home, you got to be super dad. You know, you're not there for the missus, so now you gotta, you know, you go from one grind to another. You gotta pump it up and be everything 10 times more because you've been gone.
Never been married. Came very close, but just did not happen. So for me, the most important thing for me to do was to be the best father that I could be, to be the best example of a man that I can be to my daughter. I only have one child. And so my thing was one of these days when she decides to get married, I want her to be able to know what type of man that she needs to choose to be a part of her life, to enhance her life. Me, I've never been married. Once again, thought about it one time, but did not happen, man. You know what I mean? I'm happy though. I'm happy. And not because I'm out here with this one and that one. You know, we've been there and done that as a younger man. That ain't nothing. You know what I mean? I don't really care. Like, this is not my main focus. My main focus is God, my work, and my child. That's it. All that other stuff, to be honest with you, man, can take a number and get in line. For real. I'm not unhappy. I'm fine being single. When I come home and I'm fine. I don't have nobody worrying me, and I ain't worrying nobody. I am fine. I'm not lonely. I got so many people buzzing around me all the daggone time. I don't have time to be lonely. Matter of fact, I'm an only child, so I like being by myself, to be honest with you.
I sympathize with that, but I still need you to pass some of those numbers you ain't using. Help a brother. The struggle out here is real, and God gotta let Warner break. I found the Warner, and he let a brother, shoot some jump shots.
Nah, man. I mean, some of them are cool, man. But sometimes like I'm going this way, they going this way. And just like I said, my focus is my daughter, for real. It is. It just is.
I just wanted to say, like, the kids will do that to you. That's the focus shifts as soon as you have one. Not that I have one I know of, but it's just.
Yeah, no, man. My daughter is everything to me. She is a news correspondent. That's what she does, and her dream is to work on Good Morning America. That's her thing. My daughter's been wanting to do what she's doing now since she was 8 years old. She used to always talk to me, I want to be a meteorologist. I want to be a meteorologist. And she wound up doing that, but she's also a news correspondent. She can also anchor. She can produce the shows, everything. And so she's in her fourth year now. She's working in Fort Myers, Florida now for a Fox affiliate station. And I think she has probably about another year and a half to work there. And then after that, I'm working on trying to get her here in the DC market.
Yeah, but that is how it goes, because I have family down there in that particular location. So it's a lot of hopping around from one major market to another before you finally settle in. That's why Philly's so difficult. They don't leave. They leave and then go to another spot. But I really wanted to strike home at this one, because this guy, he is the one hip hop artist that just every time I hear him rap, it doesn't matter if he's rhyming or not. Every time he talks, he's that good energy. Every time you see something with him, he makes people happy. And you and him collaborated on a song that changed my world as a child, cuz I was playing video games as a kid, PlayStation 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, and we had Redman and DJ KOOL spitting it on Let's Get Dirty. And when I tell you, this is personal, this is me cheesing DJ KOOL. When I was in college, I got that CD, and at a Christian campus, I was blasting it in my rinky-dink little Volvo car every time I was rolling around trying to get the party started. And just such fond memories. Could you elaborate that first meeting? I believe it was 94 when you met Redman, Reggie. And it just seems like you both have so much adoration for each other. Could you walk me back to when you guys initially met?
He is one of my favorites. I met him at an event. I think we was in Philly when I met him. If I'm not mistaken, I met him and Eric Sermon around the same time. And Doc was a little inebriated, doing what he does. And he said that he wanted to remix 20-minute workout with me. And I'm like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. You don't leave that like it is. But then years later, he approached me about collaborating with him on the song Let's Get Dirty. That was produced by Rockweiler, who was one of my favorite producers. Shout out to Rock. And to make a long story short, I was asked to come to LA. Rockweiler, Eric Sermon were there at Westlake Studios, which is a very big time studio out in LA. People like Michael Jackson and a lot of huge artists worked at Westlake. And he said, man, I got this song. I want you to hear it and say, every time you hear me say, let's get dirty, I want you to say something before and after. All right, here we go. I'm listening. I'm like, whoa, this right here is crazy. And so everybody, and then I hear the hook come on, Something. Let's get dirty. Let's get dirty. So I'll say, okay, I see what's going on here. So I wrote some stuff, went in the booth, put it down, and Eric Summer, Rockwilder, everybody listening. Yeah, that's hot. That's hot. I'm like, nah, that's warm. I know what you're looking for. He wants to call and response thing, right? That I do. That's what he was trying to get out of me. So I wrote it the way that you hear it on the record right now. You know what I'm saying? Like a question and answer, call and response type of thing. Came off. Next thing you know, we started doing a promo tour, and I'll never forget, we were walking up the steps, the Capital One Arena here in D.C. I got a picture here from that night. I was wearing a Redskins jersey. I'll never forget it. When we was going up the steps, yeah, he'd say, all right, Unc, I'm his Uncle Cool. That's the name that he gave me. He said, all right, Unc, let's go ahead and get this money. Let's go. And that was 2001. And we toured the world, man, from 2001 to probably about 2009. I've been everywhere with this cat. I just seen it recently. Last month we were at Madison Square Garden together for the 50th anniversary with Wu-Tang and Mary J. Blige, Diddy, and a bunch of huge artists. And we got a chance to chop it up. He is the best. Like, this dude is a licensed, he sky jumps.
Yeah, skydiver.
Skydiver, thank you. That's the phrase I was looking for. He is a licensed skydiver. So he took the whole how high thing to another level. Like, he's incredible. He really, really is. That is my nephew. A lot of people think that we're a blood kin. And if you want to think that, then that's fine. You know what I mean? But, you know, he is the best. He is one of my favorite people, period, let alone hip-hop artists, because I've always admired him as an artist, like from the gate. You know what I mean? But just as a person, just a beautiful, beautiful person.
Again, fortunate I seen Wu-Tang and been in the presence of those guys. You know, I might have said the wrong thing to Method Man about how high too. You know, when you're a fan, you're not thinking straight. You just want to say something to them. But, you know, like I said, I've been in the presence of Wu-Tang. You know, I've been very fortunate to have seen Nas. And, you know, Eminem is, to me, still the greatest rapper. And all these other artists I've seen, he's the one, it's like, I'm right there. There's that one man, I was at the gas station in New Jersey pumping gas. This lady pulled up, knew him, and was talking about him and everything. And I was just like, I'm gonna meet him one day. But the question I had, this is just the little fun we're gonna have right now. You said the only duo that could bring it to Meth and Red were BUSTA and Star. I need you to pick one. I need you to pick one.
Me personally, I'm going Red and Meth. I'm going Red and Meth. Method Man is another. That's one of my other nephews and whatnot. Matter of fact, I'm very close to Wu-Tang Clan, period, because of Meth. You know what I mean? So if I had to choose one duo, me personally, then again, I don't know. I'm going to throw another one in there. I'm throwing Chuck D and Flav in there too.
I feel like it's different. It's different style of rap and different energy. Red and Meth are that party vibe. Let's rock it. This is the old school vibe with the new. Well, it's not new school anymore, but the energy of what hip hop would become with gangster rap in the early 2000s. Then you got Busta Rhymes, who's just a lyrical magnet, and Star. Man, I saw them with Wu-Tang and Nas. They stole the show. No offense, I love them all, but
incredible.
Indeed.
They are incredible. Shout out to Busta and Spliff Star. Spliff Star is another just a very, very good person. You know what I mean? And for me, Chuck D and Flav, like, yo, it's like you say, that's a whole nother thing. Like, Chuck D's voice is like right here, like in your face. You cannot move out of the way of Chuck D's voice. Like, the sound of his voice and the things that he's saying with his voice, you cannot get out of his way. Like, you're going to pay attention to Chuck D, period, without him even having to ask you to pay attention to him. He just demands your attention. Flavor Flav is just like Biz, he's a human cartoon character. Like, you know what I'm saying? Flav, you know, you can't deny him. So I think if I had to choose one out of those three, I would probably choose Red and Meth. But it's kind of, there are no comparisons though, because just like I said, it's three different things. You know what I mean? Musically. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always love Public Enemy, especially because, like I said, I'm a big rock fan. You can tell who took from it, especially like Rage Against the Machine, how Zach De La Rocha talks. I'm like, might not be the same cadence, but I hear a little Chuck D
Oh yeah.
in that the delivery and the power. You know, I love thinking about like when I get compliments and how it humbles me. Sometimes I've had one compliment this year that really was like the first time I was so grateful to receive that recognition. You know, somebody literally went out of their way to find me on social media, told me like, "Hey, you did an interview with a person I thought I ruined the interview for. I thought I dropped the ball on it, and it got so much praise for how good it was." You know, for you, what was the best compliment another musician gave you as far as the work you did? Like, it might have been Stevie, like, let me clear my throat, or maybe it was somebody saying, "Hey man, listen, I was listening to you. I saw what you did when you split the track and seamlessly made them go to the next one, and now forever will be cool." Like, what's a compliment that just sticks with you in your heart for that?
I don't know, man. It's a bunch of them. Like the fact that even Redman sought me out, like to work with him because we're two totally different things in a particular type of way. But then where we meet together is energy. Like we have, both of us are up here. You know what I mean? Um, so it might have been Redman approaching me. Um, I don't know, man. It's a lot of moments. Like not too long ago, um, um, Master G from the Sugar Hill Gang told me how much he appreciated me as a person and as a performer and everything because he was interviewing me not too long ago, last month for XM Radio. Uh, and so I don't know, man. Like I've gotten compliments from a lot of artists that I admire. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of hard to just really pick one. You know what I mean? I heard Dougie Fresh one time, who I've been friends with since 1987. And everybody need a little DJ KOOL in their life. He said that in my face, right? You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, man. LL Cool J, KRS-One always bigs me up, and I'm still trying to figure out like this dude. He's incredible. This is another incredible human, like you know what I'm saying. And every time this dude see me, he's like. For some reason, he's always very excited to see me, and I'm as excited to see him. I probably don't show it, but I'm as excited to see him as he shows that he's excited to see me. So people like that you really admire their artistry and everything, when they come and big you up, man, like it's nothing better.
I would have thought KRS-One was happy because he gonna get some fine tunes to throw down. Because I've never seen, even in interviews talking, he's always it's beautiful poetry. It's not even rapping at that point. The way he constructs his thoughts and explains it. Lady B has something in Philly, and he came out and stopped the rain. I'm gonna stop the rain. But before I let you go, it's the two things that I look at. Like, you worked with your idol Chuck Brown. That was like, how much more higher could you get after that as far as being a fan of music? And then you've had the lows where hey, you know what? My best advice is have a lawyer. Have a good lawyer. You're going to need it. I always ask this question. What's the best piece of advice somebody else has given you? It could have been a one-time, said it randomly, like, hey, man, don't buy the tour bus, rent it. Sometimes it's more serious, like, let me take you aside. Let me tell you something, If you're ever going to do this, make sure you do that. For me, I think at this point, Just Live is one of them. I was talking to Ted Aguilar of Death Angel, and I asked him what his was, and he was like, Just Live. And that was right before the pandemic. It was very important for me at that time in my life to hear that. What's something somebody else told you that every now and again you hear it or you look to for guidance when it's like, you know what, this is getting a little difficult, or you know what, I needed to remember that?
It's kind of funny because it seems like I'm always the one that's telling somebody something like that. Nobody not that I can recall right off the top right now. Nobody has ever said, well, cool, man, you know, such. They may have, but right now I can't really recall anything. But because it seems like I do that so much for other people, like, case in point, every time I talk to somebody, you know, that wants to be in the business or somebody that's new in the business or what have you, always try to make sure to tell them that they need to do whatever they can to get themselves grounded spiritually if you're going to participate in this business. Um, because of obvious reasons, there's a lot of bad people in this business. It is, you know what I mean? And it's because of this, you know, it's because of money. So I tell them to make sure that they, whatever they can do, however they can do it, just make sure you get yourself spiritually grounded on the spiritual side of things. On the business side of things, I always try to tell these young artists, man, you got to get yourself covered on the business side. Make sure you get a good entertainment lawyer. Even before you get a business manager, get a good entertainment lawyer, because when it's time for the paperwork to come into play, so to speak, you better have somebody there that knows exactly what they're looking at and knows exactly how to explain it to you in layman's terms, and also have a good business manager. So entertainment lawyer, business manager, making sure you got yourself spiritually covered. Those are my three things as far as the best advice that I can give somebody as far as being in this business is concerned. That's just coming from me. Once again, I don't know, maybe people think that I got it all together or whatever, so they don't say things like that to me already. And if they do, it's probably something that just, I don't know, something that I may have known already. And I'm not saying that I'm, you know, missing out on this and that. It's just right now in the middle of this particular conversation, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that somebody told me that was so poignant to my life or to my career that really, you know what I mean, sticks out like that, or something that just keeps going on over and over in my head, you know.
But that's the only child in us, man. You know, we gotta do it for other people. We didn't get it. So I
Right.
I remember just now before I let you go, my mom was looking at the music video you did with Dougie Fresh and Biz Markie, rest in peace, good sir. And she said something that caught me off guard because I thought it was just camo, but that was an actual army hat you had on in the video with the jersey. I was curious, was that Dad's hat? Did you go get that yourself? When did you go, you know what, the jersey and the hat were my look for when you were performing? Because now I'm sitting here like, yo, those army roots run deep. We don't talk about it, but you know, every day we see it and we remember like what we grew up with. So how did you come up with the dress code for when you performed?
Okay, so back during that time in the 90s, remember, that was the mid 90s, so a lot of people was wearing camo back then. A lot of people wearing camo stuff, especially in DC. They was wearing the fatigue jackets. They was wearing, that was a field hat that I was wearing. Matter of fact, that particular outfit I had on, the camo hat, I had on, that was a Ray Lewis Miami Hurricanes jersey. No, that wasn't Ray Lewis. What number was that? That was number 1. I think that's what it was. It was a Miami Hurricanes jersey at the time, and Miami was hot around that time in the 90s. I had on the camo shorts. I had on the Timberland boots, what we call drop socks in DC. That was just a DC / hip hop look during that time. If you remember looking at all the hip hop videos back in the day in like the mid 90s with Onyx and all of these groups, and everybody was moving like this. You know, who else was wearing a lot of camo back then? Mobb Deep was wearing camo. Everybody was wearing camo at that time, wearing camouflage stuff. So that was just a hip hop thing. And everybody was like this in the video. You know, everybody was wearing camo, man. Like, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, what an honor, what a blessing. I told you God makes things in life come full circle, and this definitely was a conversation for that. That was DJ KOOL. You can reach out to him on Instagram, the legendary DJ KOOL, Twitter at DJ KOOL DMV, and check out his bio via whattv.com. DMV the beat, DJ KOOL, and I guarantee you he will respond. He will get back to you. I've never had a more personal experience with a celebrity myself. So, good sir, thank you so much for your time.
Family, I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
And everybody else, as always, you know this. Be smart, be mindful, rock on. Go listen to some DJ KOOL as I clear my throat. And as always, Ninja out.
Woo, baby, you listen to John the Ninja. All your ears are about to go on a vacation. John the Ninja's got what you need.